Hey, what's up, everybody? RPM with you. Welcome back. Trader Spotlight Live. Tonight is, it's a Thursday night, July 23rd, 2015, right here at 8 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. We're going to have special guest Kheldar on with us. First time ever, Kheldar on the Trader Spotlight. And we want to welcome him, long-term member of DTR. Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. Can everybody hear us okay?
Yeah, both people in chat room, if you could just reply in the chat there so we know that the audio is good. Both people.
Yeah. All two of them.
Yeah, everyone, I think, bringing back the spotlight and everything, I think everyone kind of needs to get into the to the whole thing, the way we used to do it. I don't remember if were you a member back when we did the spotlights? It seemed like you've been a member forever.
I've been a member since, I think, 2012.
Yeah, that's about when I wrapped them up. Yeah, we it's been a while since we've done it. But it definitely, I think we did maybe one or two just kind of like, just out of the blue, we just had to have one, so we did, a couple since then. But for the most part, the Thursday night shows have been kind of, kind of silent. I think Johnny's done some shows on Thursday night, but not specifically, Trader Spotlight show where we have a guest on. So that's what you're here, and it's all about. Just for those out there that don't understand, what's going on here. Trader Spotlight, we started to, like I said, like 2011 or something like that. It may have been late 2010. And we would do one every Thursday night. I would get on here with a, special guest, and we just learn different trading styles. And sometimes we'd have, round tables and stuff, and we'd go at it. And some of the shows would last until 2-3 o'clock in the morning. One morning we did it, and the earthquakes in Japan and the tsunami and all that happened, and we stayed up late watching it. But it could turn into just about anything. But tonight it's going to be all about Kheldar. Let me before we get into Kheldar and what he's going to tell us all about himself and all that, let me just read a disclaimer here. And this is something FT71 always does. It's probably a good idea. Just let everyone know and remember that trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative to future results. Opinions, market data, and recommendations are subject to change at any time. The views and opinions expressed on this website and all the live and recorded material on Day Trading Radio, videos, audio recordings are solely for those original authors and other contributors. So just keep that in mind. Always consult with a licensed professional, whatever, and when it comes to trading and stuff, and do your own diligence, sort of thing. All right. So with that, Kheldar, welcome to the Spotlight. Let's get started by going over. Tell us about yourself and, how you got started and everything, and what you're primarily trading on. Whatever you want to tell us about yourself. And also big shout out to everyone in the chat room there.
Okay. I got started in trading basically in the late 1990s. This was primarily at the, hold on, I thought I'd muted this so I don't hear the beeps.
Oh, it's not too bad.
There we go.
It's not as bad as your keyboard anyways.
It's not as bad as my keyboard.
Yeah. No, it's good, man. It's all good.
Okay. Got started in the late 90s in the dot-com boom. I had stocks ever since I was a kid, but really getting involved with more active trading in the 90s. Kind of got lucky and got into some stocks and got involved in some buyouts. Traded off and on. I wasn't a full-time trader then. I had my real jobs. And then I guess it's about, would have been, right at early 2012, my mother passed away and came into a fairly good sum of money that allowed me to explore other opportunities in doing the full-time work as running a photography company. So I took a part of that money and basically decided I was going to trade it, and ran across DTR's futures videos on YouTube, and that's how I came to Day Trading Radio. So my futures experience is about 3 years.
Okay, so it was stocks before then. Pretty much stocks. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, and more. My active trading stocks is I loved finding something in the $7 to $15 range that got a really good pop, that was a dog stock that didn't make money, that you could short a couple thousand shares of it, and you'd pick up 10 cents here, 20 cents there, and do quick turns on it. And I made a pretty good amount of money doing that. But I saw the futures thing. I ran across a couple of videos. Some guy was trading futures in Chile, and I'm like, I can do this. And that's how I came to day trading radio. And I think I'm not too much different than a lot of the people in this room. Some of them are more experienced than I am. Some are less experienced than I am. But, I think a lot of us started out small and worked ourselves larger, or started out small and got ourselves creamed.
Yeah, or the both. Yeah, both. Yeah. So about 3-4 years of the futures, I guess. About 3 years.
About 3 years.
Yeah. A lot of people, they say, well, only 3 years. Wow, does it really qualify somebody to trade? Well, 3 years of staring at the futures pretty much all day long, every day. That's a lot of experience. It can add up to a lot of experience. You can go through a lot in 3 years. Just 1 year of staring at it every single day, you can go through a lot of it.
Well, and I can tell you that, and I talk about this a lot in the chat rooms about having a plan. That first year, I think a lot of the users, especially the newer users, or users that first come on, they like to follow somebody. And the problem is, I did something similar with that when I first got started. And when you're following somebody, you have no idea how much capital they're playing with.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
So a lot of the things, and I'll talk about this when we get into looking at charts and stuff, a lot of the trades I can take now, there's no way I should have been taking 3 years ago, but in some cases was. So I would recommend for all the traders, it's great that we all, I try to post trades in the futures room, understand why you're making a trade rather than following somebody is so much better. Because I can tell you that first year I probably blew through $27,000 pretty quick.
Whew, just on futures?
Yep, just on futures.
Wow.
I can still remember the first day I took a $2,000 loss. I was like, man, I never thought I never lost that much money trading stocks. Yeah. And now, and now though, I mean, I look at $2,000 and it's like, once you get steady and grow your account and are trading with the right capital requirements for what sizing you're trading, it's amazing how quickly your account can grow.
Yeah, so like a $2,000 day, it's a bad day, but it's not that bad considering you had some $10,000 weeks, or it's just a dent, right?
Yes, exactly. I mean, if you're trading, and it aggravates me a little bit. I hear some of these brokers that are giving $500 intraday margin for accounts that are opened with $3,000 or $4,000. It scares me to death because an account like that, you shouldn't draw down 1 or 2% of your account. If you're trading with a $500 margin on a $5,000 account, you're throwing 5 or 10 lots on. You're going to be gone in 2 weeks unless you're a miracle.
You got to be perfect on every trade, or you're going to wind up in a mess. And if you keep that kind of, if you keep that pattern up, you're going to be losing large chunks, and it's going to be extremely volatile. Now, having said that, I believe, and you correct me if let me know if you disagree or agree, but I believe that you can have an account that has a $5,000 in it or whatever, and say a $500 margin. If you limit yourself to 1 or 2 contracts on the ES, for example, and you don't take advantage of all that leverage that you have, it's the same thing, but it requires discipline for you to make yourself stick to that.
Well, Cole posted a question in the room. For me personally, I don't think you should enter a trade for a futures contract that you couldn't carry into or enter during the night session. So for the NASDAQ futures, I believe that's $4,600. For the ES, I want to say it's 5,700.
Yeah,
so
I think it's about right.
there's a different margin requirement on the night session versus the day session. So if you wanted to place a trade,
I was just going to say that's a very good way of looking at it. If you don't have enough margin in your account to where it's okay to carry a single lot trade into the next day, then you need to either increase your your account or consider doing something. That's a good base rule there. I like that.
Okay. Renko saying carryover is not day trading. I'll get into that in a second, but it's not that you need to hold it overnight. It's just, I think that's a safe cushion. In reality, I would, for ES traders, I would personally prefer if someone start, I limit me personally to $8,000 of capital for every single contract I'm trading, which is almost, it's not quite twice the initial margin overnight, but it's about twice the maintenance. I never trade less than what more than I can carry overnight and enter overnight. So for me, it's 8K in capital per contract on the ES. And I generally hold that rule for all of them. You could technically trade, if you're trading the NASDAQ, the requirements are less. If you've got less than $5,000, it might be good to start with something like trading some of the micros. The carry requirement on some of the micro currency futures are, I think, $300 or $400.
Yeah, it's like the mini of the mini kind of deal. Fairly new product. I know FT71 gets on with us, and he's talked about them before in the past. So if you had a $5,000 futures account, maybe you limit yourself to one or two cars. Would be reasonable at that, if that. But you're not suggesting carry overnight. I know you weren't.
No. I'm not saying carry overnight. And Renko brought this point up. It's not swing trading. It's day trading. It's swing trading. My goal in all of this is to make cash. I don't care how I do it. The goal in all of this. I don't need to make 600 trades a day. I'm perfectly content if I can make, and I find in general, if I can make 1 or 2, 3 trades a day, I can hit a target. That's good for me. Now, if I need to hold a trade for a week for it to come around, and I've done that, I want to be prepared that if I have to do it, I will, or I can.
Now, so that sort of sounds like you're willing to you kind of press against against the max pain for a while, to kind of be stubborn about, your ultimate, goal, on a trade, or ultimate, I guess your ultimate vision on where you think it should be going. If it rubs up against you a little bit and you have to wait a few days, for it to get there. And do you mean futures for that? Have you done that with your futures?
Yes.
Wow.
And it depends on where I am in a contract. Like right now, we still have quite a bit of time for September. And I know everybody loves to short this market, but since 2009, we've been in a pretty good uptrend.
Oh, yeah.
And in every case, especially, and I trade a lot of the NASDAQ futures, and I flop back and forth between NASDAQ, YM, and ES.
Okay.
But, with the NASDAQ, how many times have you entered a trade where 30 minutes later, 2 hours later, next day later, it went right to your target?
It's back where either where you were or finally made up to what your original goal was, your target was. Yeah.
Right.
And you're right.
And at this point now, I have the capital that it doesn't bother me to hold them.
Yeah.
If this was the second week in September and I'm long and it's going against me, well, I don't have enough time to really let that get itself out of itself.
Right.
But if it's the first week of August and I'm long, I think I'll sit it out. I might carry that position. It's not something I want to do. I mean, let's face it. I want to get in, get paid, and get out.
Sure. But, just some questions about your style, and we're learning something about your style, right? Stuff that I didn't know. I feel like I know you pretty well. In the chat room and stuff we met, and in person at the trade show and everything. But this is great because we're getting to know your style, and I know you're not suggesting that. And I'm certainly not going to suggest that the way you do things is the way other people should do it. And in fact, I wouldn't suggest that anyone do or trade the way I trade. I think everyone needs to figure out what works for them. But it's very good to hear, how someone else has made a success of it. And that's what this whole show is about, and maybe if we can take something from it. And how about mistakes?
I also think it's
mistakes.
Well,
I think it's good to learn from mistakes.
To show that, I think it's also good to show that we're not always right. I mean, I blew through a lot of cash the first year.
Yeah.
It took a while to get to where I am and get my head screwed on.
Did you get to a point where you had made most of that back and you said to yourself, maybe I should stop now?
RPM, I've made more money doing this, especially in the last 12 months, than I would ever have thought possible.
But when you finally figured out a way to get back that original $25,000 loss, did you say to yourself, we're about break even on this deal. This was hell getting here. Or did you say, you know what, I've got it figured out now. It's all downhill from here. Is that pretty much the attitude? Pretty much I got to the point that I got it for the most part figured out. I still make mistakes, but market changes too. Market changes on us.
Yeah, the market changes on us, and I mean, I joke about this in the chat rooms, but this is a video game. The market is not out to get you. This is literally, it's a video game. The point, the dollars are points, the stops are live,
yeah.
And it's just like pinball. When you run out of balls, you need to stop for the day.
Right. It's not real money. Then you go look in the account later on, and you just happen to see how much you have.
It wasn't like that, but
you can't look at it just like it's too much. It's money. It's real. If you look at it like it's real money all the time, sometimes the emotional factor in that can get to you, and then you can forget that it's you against the machines.
Well, a lot of it's mental attitude. If you go into if you go into your trading day, especially in the morning, and think, oh God, I hope I don't lose money today. Well, guess what? There's a good chance you're going to lose money that day.
Yeah.
And by thinking of it, and I joke about the video game, but when you look at this, I don't know if you played Pitfall or Donkey Kong when you were younger.
Oh yeah.
But or Pac-Man, each of those games had a level. They had a certain way you could complete the level to make it successful, and there were patterns you looked out for those little ghosts. This is pretty much the same thing. You're looking for patterns in the market. What does the market do when it looks like this?
There's some true randomness to it. But contained in it all, there are machines that are making the major moves, and they are all programmed to do a certain thing. Look at the 10-point moves that we've had. We had a 10-point move today, I believe today, and we bring this. Mr. Topstep talks about this, and I thought he was crazy, And then I said, wait a minute here. You can measure out these 10-point moves all over the place. I don't know exactly how you trade it, but there's a 10-point move from 2102 down to towards the 1530 hour to 2092. 10-point move. There's another 10-point move just above from 90. They're all over. These 10-point moves all over the place. If you never noticed it though, you could never apply that to what you're looking at. Or trend lines and channels like Johnny's so good at. And I try to base what I do off of so much that I've learned from him, stochastics and all that. Some people don't even use that stuff, and but you're right. Use the tools you can. You find the patterns, you identify the patterns, and you know that the odds are in your favor if you apply those to try to make a trade. So you want to pull up some charts? You want to get to some things that you specifically do? How do you start your mornings? You were talking about that and everything.
Before we get to that, I made a list of things, just some guidelines. And if I could just read through those, and if people have questions on them, that's fine. But these may sound silly. We've covered some of this conversation, but number one, have a plan. Number two, keep losses smaller than wins. That sounds pretty simple, but in practice, especially when emotions run high, it sometimes can be hard. Buy low, sell high, rinse, repeat. Another simple one. This really is. When people are crying, I'm usually buying. When the street's euphoric, that's the time to be selling. I never day trade or start trading futures unless I've had at least 6 hours of sleep. I find if I try to trade tired or whatever, I get impulsive and try to force things.
Impatient.
Dress for success. Yeah, impatient. Dress for success. You know, in the morning when I finally sit down at my desk at 9 o'clock, by the time I'm really getting to start trading, I mean, I chat earlier, you know, I got on a pair of Dockers and a nice, clean, crisp iron dress shirt. I have no need to wear this. I'm working out of my house. But it puts me in that frame of mind that this is my job to do. We talked a little bit about this. Never enter trade if you don't have the capital to hold it overnight. One ES contract for every $8,000 in capital. Wait for price to come to you. Don't chase things. This is another one that's a pretty big one. I see some people in the chat room occasionally disagree with this one. Singles and doubles win ball games. You know, I'm not particularly fond of ticks these days, but, you know, a couple ticks here, a couple ticks there, a couple ticks there, that can add up. You know, Anthony made a comment earlier, and I've seen him develop into a night. I've seen him trading over the last year and a half. I started progressing through 1 tick, 2 ticks, you know, and his targets and hitting his targets and not getting greedy. It was great watching some traders getting 10, 15 points. Realize not everybody can do that. Yeah, RPM, I hardly wear clothes around the house either, but when I'm trading, I look nice.
I was just saying, whatever works for you and you feel like you're successful in, that's what you should wear. You know, if you feel sharp in those dressing nice when you go to that office, that's what you should do, you know?
Well, it basically, it goes to that mental aspect of this a little bit. You know, it gets me in that mindset that this isn't something I'm kidding about. You know, it's not like I woke up out of bed, rolled off the bed, rolled into a computer seat, and then turned on and started throwing, you know, 30 contracts around.
Right. I've done that. That is not good. That's not good. I have to have a shower and be up 2 hours before I sit down and have a clear head, regardless of what I'm wearing, you know. But I don't go jump in a swimming pool to go clean the drain, you know, in a full suit either. I get naked, you know, because I can swim better. You know what I'm saying? I can swim better with no clothes on. Personally, me, I like being lightly clothed when I'm in front of 14 screens, you know. But, you know what I'm saying? If I was dressed and I'd just been somewhere, dressing for success for me would be taking all that off, because that's when I'm in my element and I feel comfortable, you know. And you're feeling comfortable, you know, clothed nicely, and I think that's cool.
Just for when I'm trading. But anyway, that's a different conversation for the chat room later. Okay. 10, pay yourself during a trade. If you're trading multi-lot contracts, you know, don't enter the trade, have it go positive, and get stopped out all the or you know, have that go against you and lose all your contracts. If you get some money into the trade, start paying yourself. You know, I move my stops to break even after the first scale. That's automated for me through NinjaTrader. That's just something happens. My first scale is always at 4 ticks. You know, if I put on, you know, if it comes back to me, that's fine. I got paid part of it on the way there. That means I get chopped out a lot of trades, but I minimize my losses.
Sure. So you're trading, just to make everyone understand this, and some people haven't got to this level yet. You have a multi-level contract entry and level system, which means, first of all, you have to trade more than one contract at a time.
Correct.
And for those that are out there trading single contracts, which I did fairly successfully, limited success, and then decent success myself, it's tough because you either have to be right or wrong. You know, you're in and you're out. There is no, you know, half out, you know, hold some, and, you know, so for those out there that are still doing single contracts, that won't apply to you. But I think Kheldar, and I am starting to learn this myself, I think Kheldar will also tell you that trading multiple contracts gives you so much of advantage than trading single lots. And I guess we can get into that. And do you want to? Are you ready to get some specifics yet? I love your rules, by the way.
No, I got more.
All right, let's go. Come on.
Let runners run. I stopped trading after 2 losses. The next one's a pretty big one. It seems kind of silly, but I have a little one of those old fashioned sand egg timers. If I have a losing trade, I turn that over, and I can't do another trade until that runs out. And that goes to all about the emotions of, usually when you lose a trade, a lot of times, especially when I first started, you got pissed at yourself and you try to make it back. This kind of removes that a little bit and let's calm down, relax, take some time, collect yourself, and then make a thoughtful next entry if you're going to do so. Sounds silly.
Actually, it sounds like a penalty box. It sounds like a great idea. I might actually take you up on that and try that myself.
15. Never use the reverse button. It's the most brutal thing that's ever been put in a trading platform. Because when mine's 5 minutes trading places. When you're using the reverse buttons, that means you were so wrong that you were willing to exit at the worst possible price. And not only that, but you thought it was a great idea to go enter the opposite trade at the worst possible price.
Can I say something there? So, I don't use it for that.
Okay.
I'm not saying I haven't in the past. I sometimes use it to exit my trade that went well at resistance for the opposite direction.
Okay, that might be okay. I have never considered it that. When I started, the times I used it, it seemed to me I would be long. It would get close to my stop. It like, oh my god, my stop's going to hit. I got to go short now. Hit the reverse button, and you're shorting when everything's about ready to turn back up. And I haven't used it in years. Yeah,
I've been tempted to use it, and I've used it like that before, and it usually works out just costing you more money, and you wind up being wrong back the other way. It's like that's when the market is trading you instead of you trading the market.
Yeah, and this is somewhat where that egg timer comes in. Is if you're using the reverse button, it's better to take your hit, or if you're doing it on a losing trade, because that's usually most people will do that, but if you're at the point you're at a losing trade, it's better to get out of that trade and think to get back into a better entry into your next setup. Wait for it. And the last thing is I turn off anything that will get my emotions up. I don't have music playing. I have you guys up. I've got a couple of different platforms up. I have the pit up. I like the background noise. I don't use the tick strike player, the crickets and popcorn. In the past, I've found that the tickets and you hear those crickets going off, and it's I've got to get in.
Or you're short and it's driving you nuts.
Or yeah, exactly. Or you want to get short, or you hear the popcorn going off. It's like, oh, I got a short. I try to, when you're trading, it's much more helpful if you can just cool, calm, collected. Anthony, my musical taste generally include, I don't listen to music when I'm driving, and I only listen to fast music when I'm driving. So that's not conducive to trading. Hair bands are not conducive to me trading.
See, what DTR has been for you for the past 3 years, Kheldar, is a torture chamber to only make you better.
No. The best thing about DTR is the community, and honestly, your feeds, the way you guys have mixed the feeds, the Benzinger and Ben, and the ability to control that is great.
Because you have it all off.
No. That's not. No, I have main on. I have aux on. I have news on. I don't play the music channel.
Okay. So this is
no offense.
No, that's cool. This is just is exactly what I've been saying. Everyone has their own style. That's the reason why we even created the dashboard in the first place, so people could pick what they needed and what they wanted. And sometimes you might not be trading. You might just want to kind of listen and hang out. You might want to listen to the music, or some people listen to music while they're trading, and some people wouldn't listen to it if they weren't trading. So it's everyone gets to pick and choose. But it's interesting though that the music isn't something for you when you're trying to trade, and you don't like the crickets and popcorn. So I guess it's safe to say you don't like an audible type of influence like that when you're in trades, but you don't mind having a commentator mention something, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. What I'm trying to do is, and the reason for the the music, it's more a bandwidth thing for you guys. And plus, I kind of like my own music, and it's usually, more upbeat. Anything that's got a fast beat, I'm usually into. If I liked jazz, that would probably be good for my trading environment, but that's not really my thing. The tick strike player, like I said, in the past, when I was first, especially in that first year, I just found it got my emotions. It's kind of like if you're at an auction and you hear everybody get excited, that's what tick strike does for me. And I just found that didn't work well for me. I know lots of people use it, and really, it's a great feature of DTR. Just something that didn't work for me. Cole asked a question: how many trades per day on average would you consider over trading? That's personal to you, Cole. I try to avoid if I'm making more than 5 trades a day, I've got the wrong handle on the market. I end up doing
what I call
too.
Right. I mean, if the day is, if we're moving up 10 points and then we move down 10 points, move up 5, move down 7, move back up another 12, and that's before lunch, then it might be reasonable for you to get 3 or 4 out of there, right? But if the thing is just sideways for the entire day and not really moving more than 3 or 4 points in either direction, if you make a whole lot of trades that day, you're probably trying to force it, right? So that's my thoughts on it.
Years ago, I would have been. These days, I've gotten a lot better with just having a plan, letting that plan execute, and then occasionally I'll see things intraday. There's some formations that I like to see that that generally will perk my interest if I see a low or a high risk reward, low risk, high reward trade. If it's pretty obvious that there's a binary situation where the positive side of that is greater than the lesser side of that. And I've got some illustrations that we'll get to here in a minute. I tried yesterday to capture some of that stuff so I could show specifically things I look for. I thought that would be helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I saw some of those screenshots. Yeah. I'm looking forward to those.
RCA asked me, is there a go-to indicator? I can tell everybody watching there is everything here. Everything is a tool in a tool chest. There is no one magic bullet in this. You're going to have to kind of develop your own style. And a lot of this I've picked up from traders that have been on here. A lot of the stuff FT71's done. Just stuff I've run across through various places and DTR and other members. But it works. These things work for me. I think those guidelines I was talking about earlier, they sound kind of mundane, but hopefully they help somebody. I will show you some things that I use that I find helpful. They may or may not be something helpful for you. I do use Johnny's stock setup. I think those provide some insight into where things may be going.
Stochastics is what yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Stochastic. Yeah, you want to throw up that screen and we'll...
Sure. Yep. All right, so we're going to do a screen share with Kheldar here.
Oops. You good.
All right, so now we've got your main screen up here. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit, try to, just to get rid of the toolbars and stuff. You know what I mean? So right now we're pretty much zoomed in on your chart, and you have a DOM over on the right hand side. It looks like. What platform, by the way?
Yeah, this is another thing. Have 2 brokers at different places. I'm using primarily NinjaTrader. That's what I do on my futures trading in.
Yeah.
I use that slaved up to Interactive Brokers. I think for execution and costs, Interactive Brokers is a fantastic broker. Ease of use on their platform is a little challenging. It's not very pretty. Now that I've been with them several years, I've learned that it has most everything any trader could need, but it's not as pretty as some. So I own NinjaTrader. The other advantage I have to NinjaTrader is it has a ratcheting DOM setup so that it has automated order exits. So I'll get into that in a minute. And then I have an account at Toss. I had an account at TradeStation, and that was primarily because with Interactive Brokers you cannot use tick or volume charts. They are not accurate. You can only use time-based charts.
Now, how about using a different charting platform like Ninja, but still using IB to interact with brokers to execute your trades? I mean, can you stack that different charting platform on top of it and have a whole list of features that you might want and still use IB as your execution?
Ninja says you can. I have found that does not work that well. In theory, you can physically connect Ninja to 2 data feeds. But what happens is that IB supplies your current second data, and let's say you can connect it to IQ feed. IQ feed the same problem in that IB samples trades every six times a second. So it's not a true, and it kind of groups some of the volumes. So if you're trading on tick size, IB is off. And that's pretty well documented with the trade station, which I consider quite clean.
Kheldar, if you're still there, we're kind of getting some weird Skype. I just want to ask everyone in the chat room, does my voice sound pretty clear and consistent? Because I think it sounds like a Skype issue. Kheldar, are you still with us?
I'm still with you. I can hear you clearly, but I understand they have me breaking up.
Yeah, you sound like your SpongeBob SquarePants has a dump truck that's accidentally backed over top of 3/4 of him.
You want me to hang up and Skype back to you?
Yeah, let's try that. Don't close the team viewer screen share. Just close it. Let's just close the Skype.
Okay.
All right, let's try that.
Is that better?
That's pretty good, man. It's like.
Is that what you got?
It's pretty bad. I'm wondering what your outgoing bandwidth looks like right now.
Well, again, I use a cell phone from home phone. So.
Say again, Kheldar.
I use a cell phone from home phone. So you're calling a cell phone.
Oh, you're actually on an iPhone?
No, I'm on Nexus.
Oh, you're on a cell phone. You're actually just talking to me through a landline. I mean, a cell line.
No, I'm using Skype over the cell phone.
Skype over the cell phone. So you have Skype installed on the cell phone.
Correct.
Okay.
You want to try to call me back?
Let's try one more time, okay?
Okay.
All right. Yeah, 56K, right? It was great until right then. All right, bear with us, guys. Technical issues with Skype. How about it now?
I can hear you fine.
Would you like to play a game?
Hold on a second. Let's try this.
It's horrible. Must be an Apple product.
Is that better?
Say again?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It's terrible, man. It's still the same. I can let me restart my Skype. It may be Skype on my side. So let me just restart my Skype application. I'll call you back. All right, bear with us, everyone. We've had some pretty silly tech issues, I tell you, on these spotlight shows and trader spotlight shows and the Tech Talk Lives in the past. Some of them quite comical. There's no need to get frustrated or upset about it. It happens, you know. And ever since Microsoft bought Skype, they said it was going to make it better, and all they did was just rob bandwidth from other people. Let's see. They actually peer-to-peer through other people's computers. Uh-oh. He hung up on me. Oh, he says, hold on. Okay. All right. So I'll just let's do a little station identification break here. This is Day Trading Radio. And of course, I'm RPM. And we're having a Trader Spotlight Live, one of the first ones that we've done in a couple of years. We got member Kheldar on here, and he's quite popular in the chat room and obviously very very active futures trader, and we're learning what we can from him tonight. Hey.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. You're back now. What'd you do?
Well, Payday's made a comment, maybe Skype over Wi-Fi instead of cellular, and I bet that's what it was.
Yeah, it sounded like a bandwidth squinch. Yeah.
Yeah, because my cellular Skype was defaulting to the Wi-Fi over cellular, and you're using TeamViewer, which can't be helping things. So I just turned off the cellular on the phone. Is this better?
So it's holding up really nice. Sounds great. I want to welcome Gas, too, in the chat room. Good to see you, Gas. And Elvis in there as well. Paydays and some of the regulars coming into the show tonight. So we were at the we were talking about multiple data feeds, you know, in regards to using interactive brokers. Yeah.
I just suggest you have more than one broker. I have a couple accounts at IB. I have another account at TOS, and that was an account that used to be at TradeStation. The main reason is, and you guys, some of you who have been here a while might remember this, but I guess it was about 2 years ago that there was a whole group of people that couldn't get on the phone with Mirius for a while. There is nothing more scary than not to be able to get on the phone with your futures broker or get in touch with them. So just a smart move not to have all your eggs in one basket. That's all I'm saying. I do like TOS's charts. Charts has some fantastic charting available to it that is included at no extra charge to its members. Very memory intensive. It does not run on my trading platform. I only use it to get statistics for options. Their order execution engine is not as good as IB's is. So that was all the same. Okay, RPM's put some charts over. This is going to be a little difficult because you guys live on a different computer than my trading station. This right here is a 5-minute ES chart. This is a little more difficult because, we're at night, but I will talk about a little bit about how we got to what's on this chart. Sorry, Jolly, think or swim. You are correct. I did something for RPM, and we are going to, I'll click it up here. Thought I'd go through a little bit about what my morning routine is. I'm going to drag these over. This is an indicator for Ninja. This is basically market profile. It's provided by a company called FinAlv. You guys can Google that. Sorry, looking at comments. This is a chart. This is the evening session and yesterday's session. I'm going to change this a little bit so that it just shows the day session only, because that's what I rarely trade overnight unless I have a sitting order somewhere. And right now you won't see any orders because all this is showing in Sim. Scale this out a little bit. The letters on the left are TPO. This is time price opportunity. The blue bars on the right is volume at each of those price levels. This is similar. This is the same basic methodology that you hear when FT71 talks about. The pink bar here is the value area for the day. The little white part here is the volume point of control. This piece of software allows me to, if I want, I can have this point of control based on volume. I can also have it based on price. And those are not necessary, those won't always match up. Earlier this morning, price was actually up here kind of forming see if I can write on this. No, not really a drawing tool. But right here in this D segment, this used to be a P, which is generally a positive profile, but volume was more of a B, showing that the volume was not supporting that price level. I realize that may not make sense to anybody. But this is what I first used to look at support and resistance levels. When I come in the morning, it is set up to show the night session. Oops. So this session right here, come on, quit fighting with me.
I see very little movement on the screen, by the way. I'm not sure
What?
if it's some lag or what. I was just saying I see very little movement on the screen, by the way. It sounds like you're fighting with things, and then we finally see like this, this configuration, this indicators box that just popped up there. It's like there's some lag to it.
Oh, there's a lot of lag to it. You guys still show the configurator box, and I'm...
Yeah, that's what I still see, coming back from the... coming from your computer. I'm wondering if your outgoing bandwidth is being taxed or maybe the load on that. See, we just lost him. You still there?
I'm still here.
All right, I'm going to reconnect to your machine. We'll figure it out. We'll get it done. Even if I could go to the, there you go. That looks better. I'll drag it over here so we can see it. I can click on your screen too. If you want me, I can make a couple trades for you.
No, that's fine.
There you
go. What I have highlighted is the overnight session. This piece right here. Yeah, there's a lag. This is going to be really hard.
No, it's better now. It's better. What's playing back through the website is going to be about 3 or 4 seconds. But what I see as you're moving the cursor, it sounds like what you're pointing to is what you're talking about. I think we're okay now.
Okay. Underneath that rectangle was last night's overnight session. I usually take notes of the high of that session and the low of that session. I write those down just to kind of keep an eye on them. Ninja shows these in a DOM. I do not have to. Kodiak, it is one I purchased. It's $279 from FinAlg, which is this little thing down here in the bottom left. You may not be able to see it. I can't tell on RPM screen.
No, we're zoomed in slightly, but I can move over a
That's
little
okay.
to the left. There we go.
I'm going to post a link to all of this stuff in the chat room at the end of this. So I'm going to go over here, RPM, and take this. Let me pull up
we're working in real time now. We're more in real time now, so the team viewer connection looks good now.
Yeah, I'm pulling up, trying to see where I can. It might be easier to do.
You had screenshots. If you want to publish those in the room, I can pull those up. You can refer to them, and I can drag them into the view for everybody. If you want to do that.
Yeah, that might be easier. Because I renamed them for that upload, and they're not named the same on them.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, you just tell me which one you want to refer to. I'll pull that image up. And
pull up the one that says long-term composite.
Got it.
Okay. This is one, I run a 4-monitor setup. I have 3 horizontals and 1 vertical.
Yeah.
This one resides on my upper monitor on the left. It's something I glance at. This is a micro composite that goes back to May 1st because we were pretty much in consolidation since May 1st.
Yeah.
So this is all the price that is transacted between May 1st and today. The dark pink line is the line I am most interested in. On that picture you're looking at there, you'll notice it's 21.15, and you'll notice that you've kind of got hills and valleys in it.
Yeah.
On the right-hand side. The 2 black lines are the value area high and the value area low for that distribution.
Okay.
So for quite a while, that pink line was at 2000, right around 2080, 2090.
Okay.
It moved up Tuesday to 2115.
Mm-hmm.
So it's building some acceptance up at price.
Sure.
Today it moved back down to 2097. I use these just to give me ideas where there's some holes in the market. If you look here, there's a volume hole between that 14 and 10, that little valley there. We're probably going to fill that in at some point. That's the first thing I look at in the morning after I look at the highs and lows from the night session.
Mm-hmm.
Pull up morning 5, please.
Morning 5. Yeah, I appreciate you doing this, man. The screenshots and everything and putting some thought in. That's great. This one's a little too large for me to put on the. I'll back out of this just a bit here. There we go.
This is basically just these profiles going back several months.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be hard to see. It'll be easier to see in the folders when you zoom in on the image.
Yep.
What I'm interested primarily on this, I can do some basic chartings. To me, that looks kind of like a downward channel. I don't plot. This software will allow me to plot the candles on it. I don't. This gives me support and resistance levels, and I don't really worry about seeing the candles on this. But what I do pay attention to are the green dotted lines. Those, when they stretch across from the left to the right and are still plotting on the right, that is the volume point of control for a session from a previous session that has not been touched.
Right. So we basically haven't revisited that area, and it goes back previously. And that
Correct.
And that green projects forward for your convenience. So
correct.
Let me. I need to bring, because I got a private message from somebody just a minute ago that said all this is over their head. It don't even look like a chart. Kheldar, it's safe to say Kheldar is the volume. He looks at volume profile, at least in the mornings before he gets started. We've at least established that this is volume at price profiling. These sideways bars represent the amount of contracts that have been traded at a particular price level. And that's what volume profiling is all about. But we kind of got into this, and it was kind of a given. We knew it, a lot of us knew what we were looking at, but some of the newer traders out there, maybe not, especially if they watch, Johnny's show or my regular, show and my charts. I'm just going by stochastics, regular volume, and, trend lines and patterns and stuff like that. We don't really talk about volume profile that much unless we're looking at another screen and we happen to see, a high value area, something coming up. We might mention that. You definitely rely on volume profiling a lot, and that's something that's new to a lot of new traders. So I just wanted to mention to everyone, you're not going crazy out there. Well, you might be, but Kheldar is using a pretty standard way of looking at the markets, using volume profiling, and it's something FT71 relies on heavily. So just hang in there, and it'll come to you one day, and then you'll realize what's going on. Go ahead, Kheldar. Just had to bring that up.
Okay. No, that's fine, and I understand. I figured I'd show you guys what I did, and we could get into the answering questions as to some of the what more this is telling me. I don't this chart right here. I could agree. It kind of looks funky. All this is telling me is that below me we have lines that have not been touched that we will probably touch again. And I need to be aware about their location. That blue rectangle, there's a big gap there. That's probably the most interesting thing about this entire chart, is that gap in that rectangle area. That's an area that I'm pretty confident we will revisit at some point. Now, I am in general a much better bull than a bear when I'm trading. However, I would not be responsible if I didn't have some sort of plan for if we get to that area. Either one, If I have long positions, I should have some counterbalancing short positions. Generally, I would do that through options to protect myself should we go down, or I would have enough capital if I'm in long positions or want to initiate long positions should we get to that level. But what I'm looking for in this is basically, you'll notice there's a group of profiles, kind of the last four, where you kind of went up, kind of went just a little more up, and then you started coming down. Well, that kind of looks like a rounding top to me. I think it looks like we might be in for a pullback. And we ended up getting a pullback. But what I note off this chart is where the nearest points of control that have not been touched to our current price. That's one of the first things I look at in the morning after the overnight high and low is where could price, should it breach that high and low, where might it go? I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and we just recently revisited that 95 area because this chart's a little older. This chart was yesterday's chart, right?
These charts were done yesterday and this morning.
So we've actually printed like around that green that was headed lower, on which we're looking at now. Yep.
Correct. Can you pull up morning 4, please?
Yeah. Let's see.
Is it easier if I drag them onto my screen?
No, I think this will work. I think it'll be a little bit better resolution if I do it this way. At least that's, I'm kind of thinking that anyway. Yeah, all right, I'll tell you what, try it. Put it right over top of, your main chart there. Yeah, that'll work too. That's just as good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to catch up. I can't see
No, it's there. We got it.
Yeah, I'm just not used to the lag. All right. This was the second chart I looked at. If you look on there where that blue box is, and I don't normally make these notes on the charts. I did this for this presentation. But this was this was when I woke up this morning. Price had already traded up to 1375 in the overnight session. Interesting how that is exactly at yesterday's, just a tick above yesterday's point of control. Our FT71 talks about that stuff. Notice up around above that, there's a dark blue box. I drew that, but that's that area that's highlighting that C section there. If we get decisively above that point of control, then from yesterday in the day session, my first targets would have been that red line, which would have been the value area high the previous day. And then where you have that gap up there, and I treat that just like a gap. I note this pink area on my 5-minute chart. I do this at the end of the lay. Our CNET, the A, B, each letter represents a 30-minute time frame. So the letter A represents the time all the price traded between 9:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern time. B is 10:01 through 10:30.
That's interesting. You come up with that yourself, or is that sort of a feature that's just part of the package?
The part on the left is the ABCD is standard, basically, the CME market profile. If you Google CME market profile that was developed mid-80s or something like that by Peter Stedemeyer, that's basic market profile. And then the blue bars are volume. So this is showing you both.
Right. No, I understand. It's cool. So if you had like a really, really long, bar there, and you saw like A, that would mean that would kind of tell you in your head that, wow, we probably had a big pop real early in the morning. And then if it was just, a B, C, D, and E, just 3 after that, then you could kind of see that the market was tame the rest of the the day the volume did, or the volume really didn't. I shouldn't say a big pop. I should say a lot of contracts traded early, and then the volume tapered off in that price range later on through the time frame of the day. I guess, is that one way you could think of it?
Well, what it does is basically it's a graphical representation of the auction. So what will happen on an unbalanced day? Because if you look at the day to the left of the blue box, you see that real long profile that's got some jagged edges on it.
Yep.
That's an unbalanced day. Price has a tendency to revisit those areas of balance and fill them back in.
Right.
So yesterday, actually, if you look at that profile, it should look like a regular bell curve when it's a balanced market. So what should happen during the day is you're going to see price transit to one side of the point of control to try to see if it can go higher. If it can't, then it should come back, transit across the point of control, see if it's going to go lower. Now, what gets interesting is when you get out of the area of value into is it going to break higher and get into a vertical phase, or as you hear Ben talk about, or break lower,
right,
or stay sideways? This is a horizontal phase right here, and that the current one that doesn't have the line, the red, green, and blue line on it. Mm-hmm. The one to the previous day, that is a more indicative of a vertical market.
Yeah.
I can't. It's hard for me to. Volume profile is something that takes a lot of study, a lot of just a lot of reading and watching a lot of. I can tell you, YouTube and a Chromecast will help you a lot with that.
And here's some people rely almost entirely on it, and some people incorporate it in with other good things. But it's valid. I'll just say that it is extremely valid concept of looking at the market. It definitely is. Now, how do you apply what you can obviously see with that? How do you apply it into actually executing a trade is a whole nother animal. And that's what I have not even, figured out yet. I have not even, FT71 talks about this stuff, and I think I kind of get it as far as, how he looks at things. And you're explaining it very similarly that, like he does. And you're doing a great job. But now we need to figure out how do you decide to take a trade and at what level, and what is your thought process in taking those trades, in what direction, and what causes you to do that based on that volume profile, which, by the way, is constantly changing, very much like an angular trend line, which is linear in a descending or ascending direction. There's a lot of, indicators that we have, like stochastics, are moving. Volume builds and changes. It morphs into a different change. But after seeing what you have in front of you now, how do you then apply that into making a trade? Can you touch on some of that for us?
Well, this all goes back to the plan. Let me get this out of the way. I'll tell you. The reason I'm covering some of that stuff is this brown line is today's value area high. This dotted line on the 5-minute chart is today's value area, is point of control. The bottom line is today's value area low. So if it's a little hard to trade today, but, at night, but I would be looking, a safe risk reward trade is if stocks were oversold and we arrived at this 92 level, and I saw a reversal candle, I think it would be a reasonable risk reward if you went long, say 92.25, with your stop just on the other side of this line. And then I would expect it with the stock rotation back up to get to the point of control and maybe to the other side of the value area.
Okay. Now,
notice that was not just at the bottom of the value area, but there was a lot of ifs in there. If this, and may.
Yeah, you would want to see some support there for a few minutes, or for a minute at least, and then you would take a gamble that it looks like it's going to support there and bounce back up to the upside. Now, let me ask you this: do you
more than likely, more than likely, I would have a sitting order there,
sitting ready to go, seeing it migrate back down to that level, anticipating it getting there, and having an order ready? So,
that's what goes back with that other chart. And I know, those blue boxes and stuff is that on that blue box on the top, I had sitting offers up there before 9:30 got in even started.
Yeah, and that's good to be first in line. It's awesome.
That's part of having a plan. I mean, I know this morning stuff sounds odd, and we want to, but I look and say, these are areas where support might be. These are areas where resistance might be. These are areas I want to do business, and I place orders there.
So do you? And that's great. And the plan doesn't have to be for next week. The plan just needs to be 15, 20 minutes, an hour or so ahead of you. Before, right? I mean, people, you don't need to plan out next week's, trades.
No, I usually finish my plan by 7 o'clock in the morning for my broad market outlooks as to where I think, I can do business.
It gets your boundaries. It gets your things set up in front of you so you can see what you're looking at and what areas are important. Not knowing what really it's going to take place, but know where those levels are if the market is to head in those areas. Let me ask you this, because this is just looking at this recent move here. It was right around 3 o'clock, I guess, was our low there, around 2092. So you see it headed back to. Do you consider things like this looks like a short-term double bottom? Might get a bounce. Do you think about things like that too? Like if it were, let's say it was headed back to be a third time to test, 2092, recent short-term third bottom, or fourth bottom when there's no such thing, do you take things like that in consideration, or do you only look at the fact, hey, this is point of control, or hey, this is the, the session low, or this is a high volume node? Do you take in other things like that? I mean, do you consider, the stats on, double bottoms or triple bottoms and things like that? Or do you only look at the profile and the levels of where the market was satisfied and as far as,
I do keep double bottoms. I'm not as big. Double bottoms, double tops, I'm less concerned about. If we get to an area a third time, like if on this 5-minute chart, if where my cursor is now, let's see if that pops up on your screen. If we had already hit there then, and then hit there again at 3, the next time we hit there, I would expect that to blow through.
Yeah, maybe a very, very temporary bounce and then a drop below it. Are you the type of guy that sees it drop through there a couple of points and then maybe takes a gamble to the long side, expecting to retrace and test that level? Do you trade like that sometimes?
Sometimes, but I wait for
other things to set up to be on your side, stochastics or something, right?
This might be easier. Let me see. This was a trade. This was a trade from yesterday. I can't remember when I printed this chart.
That's another 10-point move right there. And that
this was yesterday, and it's funny because the way I do these trend lines, and this isn't, I can show this on a static chart. This is a 5-minute. As soon as these top two pivots started, I drew an extended line to connect those two. Then I copy it and put the parallel to some point below that.
Yep.
And at the time I had this order placed, that was the point on the screen. It was, and it's moved since then. And then this is a 5-minute, and Johnny's looking at a 1-minute. He had this up about 30 minutes later, and he drawn the same parallel line.
Me and him both do the same sort of thing.
So this is where I wanted to do business in this trade. The reason I chose this spot, this wasn't stocks. We were in a channel. It was the bottom part of the channel. This seemed a good distance from the last time we went down. that I would get some sort of I might be able to catch a bounce.
And we hit there, didn't we? We did make it there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did make it there. Hold on, I got the whole. If I can get this thing to come, where'd it go? Oh shoot!
Those angular trend lines like that and channels are a little difficult to pick exact levels because as time factors in, you don't know exactly where the price level is going to be. And of course, when you enter a trade, you got to put a price level that you're willing to get long or short. But in general, those channels play out in the market over and over and over and over again. And the key is to find them ahead of time. And you did exactly the right thing is you saw that trend line at the top. It was a simple trend line. And then you did a basic parallel measurement off of that to the downside to figure out some kind of boundaries that the market might contain itself inside of for your upper level and your lower level. I love doing that. I do it myself. You've probably seen me do it 1,000 times now. And
here, I'll do it for your viewers. This is on the chart that's on the screen. That would be the lower trend line.
There's parallel right on top of that, above that. Right there from us.
And hold on, I'm doing 6 things at once. I closed the browser, and then one thing I like about Ninja's charting is you can just highlight it, Control C, Control V, copy paste, and then I would find a point up here at top.
Yeah, there's another one above that. You see it?
No, see, and this is where we all do things differently. I would look. This one probably would really be good too, but I would have probably chosen this one because when I first start some of these trades, I'm looking for something. I'm pretty sure that as soon as this breaks right here, that I was going to be good for a point or two.
Mm-hmm. No, I see both of those. I see it. I'm just pointing out the fact that the market moves in these parallel measurements like that, and not everyone notices those. It takes time and experience to spot those and point them out. But I see both of those. I see both of those. They're cool, man. That's great.
Hold on. I got that other one. This is the other piece of that trade.
So Kheldar, I notice you don't have volume profile on the chart that you're looking at, that you're drawing trend lines and stuff on as the day goes on, but you do have volume levels that are significant to you in horizontal markers like the brown lines there, right?
Correct. And I only put those brown lines are only like if this was tomorrow, these brown lines are for my use tomorrow. Those brown lines are today's session.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So this was that trade. We finally broke that channel, and I had an ad a little lower, and this goes back to pay yourself. I scaled 50% of my position at 4 ticks, 25% of my position at 8 ticks. The stop moves to break even at 4 ticks. It moves to break even +1 at 5 ticks. It kicks into a 12. It moves to +1 at 12 ticks and will turn into a trail stop at 20 ticks and trail 8. So
okay. So that's a fairly complex. You set that up and you've been tweaking that for how long?
I've been using that for about 1.5 years. Here, I'll show. Hold on. Let me move this out of the way. And this is why I use Ninja. And you guys are in my sim account, but it still applies. You can predefine a variety of different strategies you would like to use.
Mm-hmm.
So,
or entry and exit strategies is what we're talking about.
Right. The one I generally use is this 3-target strategy. Okay. You'll notice it's got a 10-tick stop, which I usually ignore. 4 profits, 8 profit, and then the last 3, let them ride. What I'm trying to do is get paid a little bit on a high probability setup and put myself in a position to get a runner in place. That's one reason I trade the NASDAQ, is I find the NASDAQ is much easier because of the range of the instrument. It doesn't pay as much per tick, but ES on average moves about 12 handles a day. The NASDAQ has about a 60 handle range. The Dow YM has about, right now is averaging about 225. So there's a lot of sine wave movement that you can get yourself in a position that, you can make a little money on the first couple of contracts, first couple scales, and then hopefully you can get yourself so you're letting a runner run.
So you're using a trailing stop on the last one?
Well, it works like it's on all three, but this stop strategy, okay, I'll wait for it to pop up. You can customize your trails in Ninja. So they call this auto break even, but this is set up so that in 5 ticks, it moves the original stop to +1 tick. At 7.
So you wind up getting out at break. They get you out at break even.
Yeah, break even, pay your commission.
Yeah,
this one's set up for at 8 ticks, it moves you to +1 or 7 ticks back. At 12 ticks, this moves you to 6 ticks back. And this frequency is how many times do you want it to notice this profit trigger. So it'll sit there at that thing until it hits the next one or you get stopped out. And this one here, at 30 ticks, it moves it to trail 5, and it measures that tick distance every tick from there on. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That's probably very good.
Now, when you're watching one of these play out, let's say you got the last batches on, and let's say it's going in your favor, and you happen to look at the chart and you see some significant resistance that you're moving up to. Are you ever thinking, well, maybe I should, instead of this thing hitting this and rolling over and taking me out, taking some of my money, this is a logical spot to go ahead and take profits right up here if I can get it? Do you manually get out of those, and wind up capturing the maximum out of those trades sometimes?
It depends on where I am in my scales.
Okay.
If I've only scaled the first one and it looks like I'm going to peter out at 6 ticks instead of getting 8 for the second one, then yeah, I'll consider dumping the trade.
Okay.
If I've scaled both of them, runners are free money, and they should be treated as such.
Yeah.
If you're in the point that you've got a car or a couple cars that are sitting 20, 30 ticks off where you started, it doesn't cost you anything if you've paid yourself on the way up to see how far they'll go.
Yeah. Well, it's a true trailing stop too. So if it inches itself up another 10 ticks or so, it's your stop is moving up behind it, locking in at least the majority of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I've that trail stop will kick in, and I'll it looks like it might go higher. I'll back it off.
Yeah.
I don't mind letting it sit at break even on a couple of runners or a runner, because on the NASDAQ, there are times you can pull off a 60 handle trade.
Mm-hmm.
On the YM, it's not as much per point, but if you can pull 100 points out of one contract, it feels pretty good too.
Yeah, I bet. So I've already gotten a couple of private messages. I'm glad that we've got the participation today. This is great. I want to thank you again. This is awesome. We got Prolong in the room. We got Renko, RCNet asking questions. Cole is very active. I believe that's one of our female members too. If I'm wrong on that, sorry, Cole. We need more female members, by the way. Go find about 50 more and bring them in. Anthony's there.
Okay time-wise,
say what?
Are you okay time-wise?
Yeah. I mean, we go to 10 o'clock if you're all right with that.
Okay. No, I'm fine.
I just kind of, I don't want to push it with my headset and everything on my against my, this Bell's palsy. I got to host tomorrow, but I'm so far right now, I'm doing great. We got Switcher in the room. I appreciate everyone coming out, because this is a brand new Trader Spotlight show, first time in a couple of years. So it's great to be back and doing this again. And Kheldar, you made it happen, so Thanks, Kheldar. I do have some private messages, though, and this is sort of a personal thing, and you got kind of into this at the very beginning of the show. I wasn't really sure if you were willing to share, but you mentioned, that everyone, it's difficult to tell what size account people are trading in when you see them, posted trades and in the futures room and stuff. Are you comfortable sharing, how many, say, S&P contracts you put on, yes, many contracts you typically put on a typical trade? Are you comfortable sharing that?
I'll tell you how I usually trade, and you guys can extrapolate from that. I trade one or two. I have a swing account, short account, long account. I can move money between those pretty quickly if I get in a position that should have been just a long or a short and turned into a swing. For the most part, I'm trading 15 lots on entry. I'm doing my first scale with 8, my second scale with 4 and 3, and try to let the 3 run. If you see me put something like I take a small long, I'm generally trading a 2 or a 3 lot. I don't read just this. There's other things I look at, but in general, if I'm adding to a position, I am tripling those adds. So if I enter with 3 contracts, my next ad's generally going to be 9. And the ad after that is going to be 27, because if I'm adding, that means I want to move that price closer to me as quickly as I can get it and increase my advantage of getting out. The disadvantage of that is when I get walloped, I can get walloped good. This is why I make sure I never get, I've been in some big positions I've had to hold for a couple of days that aren't too comfortable. I mean, they're comfortable, but sometimes they weren't the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, I was just sitting there chatting with Cole. I mentioned that, we need more female traders here. How many people, put a 1 in the room if you know that some of the very best traders that have ever been part of Day Trading Radio just so happen to be female. Females make great traders, and I don't know what it is, that make us guys just look like idiots, We've had some really good female traders here. Docklands. That's,
Yeah, Docklands.
Yeah, there's several more too that have remained kind of anonymous that I personally knew about, but really someone's male or female, it shouldn't matter, but they happen to be better at it. And I'm FT71. He did a trader spotlight with me, and we talked about this, and he doesn't get it either. And it's not that he doesn't think the average female's mindset is not. He thinks, he's thought about it. He says it makes sense, but it's what we don't understand is why more females aren't professional traders. That's what I don't understand. Because you would think if they're better at it, why don't we see more doing it? Anyways, I didn't want to get into the whole subject of that, but it is an interesting topic. Maybe we should have a bunch of females on and do a show with us. Cole, you're next. By the way, everyone, it might not to change the subject too much here, but I did speak with Docklands back about 2 weeks ago, I think it was. She had heard over the air that I was suffering from the Bell's palsy thing, and she's always, she and I have always, kept conversation going and stuff, even when she wasn't, in the site every day. But she did wish everyone, she said hi to everyone, and hoped everyone was doing well. So she's doing primarily swing trading and stuff now, she said, and. But yeah, it was great to hear from her. But yeah, such a tremendous resource on on the site when she was here with us. And you never know, maybe she said one day, she's not ruling it out, she'll be back when she's ready. But all right, so what's next? So this is great so far, by the way.
This is another trade setup. This is, we get this a lot over the lunchtime hour, and there are 2 ways to play it. I call this a breakout trade. and it may look different on different screens, but you kind of got this horizontal consolidation.
See a little falling wedge there too. See that falling wedge? See a little falling wedge there. You see it? From the high, see the high coming down and the lower trend line underneath would be a wedge.
Yes. But see, I look at this stuff over lunch. I kind of take that 12 o'clock period forward, and it's kind of in its own little world usually because there's not much going on. So I draw a line when you start to get a couple pivots in a defined range area, and then I'll put a buy stop a tick above and a tick below the line, in the thought that when we do break out of this range, we should break up enough one way or the other to be able to make it a profitable trade.
Okay, so you actually try to capitalize on this kind of sideways consolidation grind kind of time frame. Is that what you're saying?
I'm capitalizing on it, but there are two ways you could play this. You could try to short at the top of this channel. Let's see if my cursor catches up with you. Boy, this is weird.
Yeah, I don't see it moving that. There it is.
In my case, I'm playing for that if we break this channel, it would carry on higher to the upside. So this is a buy stop where I'm actually going to go long once we break this channel by a tick. Now, and the way you would do this is you would put, if this filled, you would put your stop on the other side of the channel. Now, this is a little wide for me. I was kind of forcing this trade so I could have an example to play today, but it is another trade that I quite like. Was the reason I brought it up. So, like, you could do that here. You could do something like that.
So, just in specifics right now, that right there looks like to me we're going to break to the upside. But, it just because it keeps testing that line that you just put in. We keep testing, keep banging on it, squeezing up even tighter against it, likely probably poke through it. But see, to me,
I think I don't like saying this is why I don't like to trade. I don't like to trade the night session because one thing.
Me neither.
Well, one thing I use quite a bit, and I was using it on TradeStation. Toss has versions of it. They're not quite the same. Is I use the internals, and these are going to pop up on everybody's screen here in just a minute. Bottom left is the advanced decline line. Bottom right is up, down, up volume, down volume. Bottom right is tick. Bottom left is ES. If you've got TradeStation, there's something called vol speed. It's $VOLSPD that is extremely helpful in determining where trends are. If the market starts going up and you don't see the advanced decline line starting to turn more positive, and you can chart these just like you can any other instrument. I use these quite a bit. I try not to be on the opposite side of where these are going.
Kheldar, that ticker again for toss, thinkorswim, $VOLSPD. Is that what you said?
Well, for TradeStation, it's $VOLSPD.
Okay.
For toss, it's I think the same thing actually.
Say VOL dash dollar sign.
All one. Hold on, let me. Okay. For toss okay, it's the same on both platforms.
Cool.
On toss, if you do $VOLSPD, that will bring that up. Do you have that? When you're typing it, it should start populating it.
Yeah, I don't have toss open. I was hoping to see if I could get it to work on quote tracker here, and let's see, it did not.
It is very specific to those platforms.
Okay.
I can tell you, and the way you use it, and Gas did a heck of a video, and that's how I found it. So I'm going to give it the credit to Gas on that.
Nice.
In a trending market, let's say we're in an uptrend, and if you look at this, I can't see what I'm got. Okay, you see how on the bottom left on this chart, you can kind of see the chart in general.
Yep.
is moving from top left to bottom right in general, the advanced decline line.
Yep.
Vol speed moves similarly. When you see vol speed start at the top left and move to the bottom right continuously through the day, and advanced decline line is doing the same thing, you're pretty much guaranteed to stay in a downtrend all day. When vol speed just kind of stays horizontal, it's just a choppy market. When they don't match each other, it should raise some red flags. If you're watching vol speed on TradeStation, I watched that on a 5-minute chart. But I'm looking for what I used to call up wobbles and down wobbles. If vol speed was reading minus 100K, it's not the number that means anything. It's just where it is in relation to the other numbers. If it was reading minus 100K and all of a sudden you started seeing it go print a couple positives for 200K, you might be in for a change of direction.
So it's sort of like a divergence, a heads up kind of thing that you're looking for. It takes experience too to notice it, I guess, and figure out which is important.
It's the up volume down minus the down volume with some sort of special sauce in it. And TradeStations looks different than TOS.
Okay.
So the actual numbers don't match, but the concept is essentially the same. So,
yeah.
So I guess to tie a lot of this together is, if I'm watching this 5-minute chart, again, if I got down to this 2092 and the stocks were oversold and this was during the daytime, and I could look at the advanced decline line and see that, maybe we had a bullish engulfing candle on these, and I've got a planned long there, that just makes it even look better for me.
Sure.
And you were talking about runners. If I've got a runner in place and I'm getting confirmation from these internals, I'm less likely to take it off than if I'm in a position, I'm pussed, I'm wobbly, and these start turning against it, I'll take it off.
Yeah. And the other way, you start feeling better about it, more confident in it. So
exactly.
Yeah. So all right. So that's a cool tool. I'm going to try to put that on my on one of my charts and get that rolling. I got TOS. Maybe I'll just load TOS. Maybe we should put that up over on the DTR2 screen during the day. That might help people. I'd love to get your feedback on it. It looks like Charlie uses it too. We'll watch that in real time. What else?
No, Anthony.
Do you have a tendency, Kheldar, to take more longs than you find yourself shorting, or are you? Does your brain work more to the upside than it does the downside, or are you about equal?
I've looked at my P&L over the last, especially year and a half, and I find that my short trades my long trades are generally more profitable than my short trades. And in general, that's because we're in an uptrend.
Which means you're more of a trend trader then.
Well, just in general, the overall market, I am more likely on really big down days. Usually when you see like the big drop today, by the time that I got into the point that we could go short in that, and my mind had gotten around that, it was too late really, because we were starting to get to some areas I thought would get support, and I just can't short into that.
Right, I got you.
I am more likely when the Dow starts getting down 150, 200 points, that's when I'm seriously looking at either buying calls or going into, building a couple contracts at a time into YM and ES and NQ swing positions. Okay. There was something I wanted. There was a fib I wanted. Which one is this one? I use fibs, and I don't know. Let's see if you can see this. How well you can see this.
I know Sonny uses fibs. I try to pay attention to the big ones, the 50%.
I use 3. I draw them as fib retracements from swing lows to swing highs. Mm-hmm. I plot it does 0 and 100 automatically, but I have it plot minus 23.6%, 50%, and 61.8. Mm-hmm. So this screenshot is from something I drew this morning. This was all part of my morning homework. That was the fib. This is a daily chart. This was the last basically swing low to swing high. that circle is basically just not too far from where we stopped today. That was an area this morning. Those two areas, that blue circle was where I was really happy to go long. The blue circle on top is somewhere I expect the E. If we hold this 2070, 2080 area, I expect that upper blue dot to get hit.
Mm-hmm. Looks logical too.
Leg.
Yeah, looking at my 1 minute chart here, I can see that. Not even using a fib. It's great seeing how different indicators, agree with each other. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the that's the whole concept behind DTR and Johnny's teachings. Is high probability setup is when you see something where multiple indicators and multiple things are pointing to the same end result, and that betters your chance. It betters your odds. I think it's great that you incorporate your fibs, you incorporate some stochastics, you incorporate your volume profiling. Obviously trend lines and channels and ideas and stuff like that in your trading. And I think a lot of us have learned to do that. What's that? So, it's a photo of your actual screen, right?
No, this is something, if you Google, I don't know, I'll answer members. This is a spreadsheet that is provided by a vendor, a piece of software I have that was never successful with the software, but helped shape a lot of the trading plan stuff I did as far as sizing and stuff. Okay. This is people, I've seen some people talk in the chat room, not as many, but about, you've got to hit the grand slam home run, get chopped out, blah, blah, you got to, this is a spreadsheet that I printed 2 screenshots. I couldn't tell which one I did, but it allows you to put in endpoints, how much your point value, your commission, your initial capital, margin, etc., daily points per trade. So this first one is set up. If you had $10,000, the margin was $6,000. If you made 1 point in one trade, every trade you made, and stopped per day, and used up $6,000 of capital for every contract you use, this is where you could be in a year. If you did 2 points per day, and this number didn't print out, but that number up here on the far right is $432,000. So people that don't say singles and don't that kid other people about singles and doubles not winning ball games.
No, it's exactly what wins a ball game.
So this kind of ties back into trades per day.
Yeah.
It's much better if you could, if you even if you had to sit there for 7 hours, if you can learn to make that 1 point on that one good setup during the day, and that's your trade, and do that consistently, you can be very successful at this.
Identifying that right part in the day or several parts in the day where your odds are that you're going to get your target and you're going to be
Correct.
profitable there, and weaning out the ones that are going to chop you up and take you out and make you lose money. Not only do they hurt your net balance and wipe out your profits, but they also can take a tremendous toll on you emotionally, which ruins it all if you let that and then you start revenge trading and all that other stuff. And we know that there's 500 different great trading plans out there, and probably thousands of more different versions of all different sorts of trading plans that are added together that are all solid, sound, and can be very profitable. But if you can't execute it because you allow emotions and stuff to go into that in a negative way, sometimes emotions in a positive way can be a good thing, but in a negative way, if you can't execute those reliably, at least 90% on plan, and you let emotions trick you up and cause you to fail to execute, it just snowballs and gets worse, and then you find yourself dancing around different strategies and different ways of looking at the market, second guessing yourself and all that stuff. We've all been there. So I'd like to touch base on the emotional side of things and how do you deal with that? Because I know from what I understand, you're human. You're supposed to be anyway. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the emotional side, of, with just things that doesn't always go right, it goes against you and you haven't really, touched on stops too much. And obviously when they start racking up against you, I believe you said one of your rules is when you lose 2 trades or when you do lose a trade, you flip that thing over and you stay out of the game until the little sand glass minute
No,
timer.
it's a little 5-minute timer.
5-minute timer. You're in timeout, penalty box, where take a deep breath, cool off, whatever. If you make yourself do that, congratulations, by the way. So that's one thing that would kind of help you get your brain back in order. But how do you tell us about a bad day and what are some of the things that because here's what I think. I think we need to learn from the mistakes. I think you learn from mistakes more than you learn from success, because I believe if you have not learned from mistakes and you have not experienced mistakes, success is more than likely good luck. And good luck is something that you're fortunate to have sometimes, but I'd rather be smart and right. People say I'd rather be lucky than good any day. I'd rather be good and not lucky. You know what I mean? I'd rather luck not play into it. But, because luck is not consistent, and you'd rather develop something that you can consistently apply over and over and over again. So how do you deal with, the human emotions when things don't go right?
The take timer helps. Sometimes the best thing is to walk away and get away from it. I know that if I'm making more than 5 trades a day, I'm what I like to call flailing. And the sooner I recognize that I am flailing, the less I will lose that day. Because if I am flailing, I think it'll go here. I think it'll go here. No, there's no thinking. If I've properly planned the day, then I should be better than I should be. I know it can do this here, and I know it can do that there. And that is a well-executed plan. It's when I deviate. I'll tell you, my worst days are when I deviate from the plan. And that's when I get emotional. It's not so much at the market as you idiot, you deviated from your plan.
Yeah, it's like you forgot what you did, 45 minutes worth of research for. It was just an hour ago, and you done thrown it out the window because you changed the plan, and you shouldn't have. You get off track, right? It's like somebody leading you off into the woods or something, and you're supposed to be going down the road. And it's like somebody pulled you to your brain starts thinking about a different way of looking at the market. You forgot about what your map looked like. Yeah, it happens to me, and I don't plan.
Well, yeah,
I do,
it's like
but
a football game.
I don't do as extensively as you do it.
No, I mean, it's like a football game. The teams put together game plans, and that's just what I do in the morning. I have a game plan. I usually post some of it in the futures room as to areas that I'm interested in. And when I execute that type of plan, but, the market can throw you a curveball sometimes, and you can't plan, you need to have, correct risk management controls.
Yeah.
Going into things, and you won't have to worry about it.
What Sonny's saying in the room there, it makes sense. She says she disagrees. She says when you have a good trade, study it, practice it, do it again. Rinse, wash, rinse, and repeat, and reinforce the positives, eliminate the negatives. I like that, Sonny. The only thing is you need to learn when you do something wrong. When you do something wrong that counts against you, you need to learn what went wrong, and you need to try to avoid that. I think is more important than learning what you did right, just waiting so you can do it again. I see what you're saying, and I appreciate what you're saying. I think it's a combination of both. You cannot eliminate the negative, therefore you need to learn how to deal with it and learn from it and deal with it in a way that you gain from it instead of it taking a negative toll against you overall, and emotions and all factor into that too, right? So, if you ignore your negative trades that you did wrong, you could have all the great positive trades in the world. If your negative ones outweigh your positive ones and you just think happy and you look at your account statement and you're down 10 grand for the week, you need to figure out where you're going wrong just as much as you need to figure out what's going right, I think. But, it's so many different ways of looking at it,
I highly recommend the members Google 7 Deadly Sins spreadsheet. That spreadsheet has a thing it has a journaling section, and it has basically 7 causes of your losing trades. And I'll read, pick top or bottom, felt like breakout, no volume confirmation, poor entry, canceled stop, moved target, turned into loser. And it can give you some statistics based on those. Yeah. But, I find generally if the days that I lose the most money are the days that
you don't follow.
I randomly pick levels and when I move my stops. So.
Yeah, all right, so let's get into some more specifics here. Do you add to trades? Do you say, this is going against me. I know I'm going to be right eventually. I'm going to add to this.
Yes.
Okay.
And in general, I will be more inclined at the right levels to add to longs than I am to shorts. I'm much more inclined to cut shorts loose earlier.
Thinking that the market's probably going to return to the upside like it's done for so long. It would only make sense for that trend to continue eventually, and you're going to be right.
If we're early enough in the contract,
Yeah.
Next, talk to me into August, and I will be a little more careful about that.
Right. Yeah, because you might want to hold on to it for several days to a week or so, and if you're at the end of the contract expiration, that's going to be a mess. But yeah, no, it makes perfect logical sense. It's reasonable.
I can't remember if it was January or February, but I rode the NQ down with a couple contracts for almost, I know it was around 41.92. I mean, I took that thing almost 150 points with it, holding them. But I mean, it was early in the contract, and you don't make money. You don't lose money until you take the loss.
Yeah. Did you add to those? Did you add to that?
No.
Did you eventually stop out, or did it come back to where you were happy with getting out?
I ended up on that trade making 85 handles on it.
Wow!
I held it for 32 days.
Now, was that a relatively small, like one contract or something, 2 contracts, or were you heavy enough on there where if it finally tortured you out of it, you were gonna?
No, it was 2. It was 2 contracts.
Okay, so that's relatively. If it completely wound up worthless, you're all right with it. You weren't all right with it, but you knew that you could absorb it if you needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you bettered your average because you added. We got a little drop here, by the way. Pretty significant little spill over here from 2101 quarter down to 99. Now it's a point, about 2 points, almost 2 points here, but pretty quick here considering this evening session.
You should get some hesitation at around those 97 ish.
Okay. So we got about 10 minutes, I guess, so we make this a nice even 2 hours. Any more questions from anyone in the chat? I was just going to throw this out there, and you continue to talk about what you feel is important. But if there's any questions out there, if you guys want to send me a private message, I'll read those to Kheldar. If you have anything specifically you'd like to ask him, Kheldar, go ahead.
Renko is technically correct. It's the same concept. Keep your winners bigger than your losers. But I'm content with getting paid on the first scale and trying to get myself in a position to make bigger runs. I have a set monetary goal I try to hit per day, and I'll be honest, if I get within, if it's 10:30 in the morning and I'm within 15, 20% of that. I'm not going to waste 6 hours trying to get that last little bit. I suggest when you're first starting out, rather than monetary goal, look for a point goal. I think especially newer traders or people, keep an eye on Anthony. Not so much follow his trades, but you might want to discuss with him as to why he decided to make that entry, not while he's doing it, but after he completes the trade, because he's a great example of starting small, getting a couple ticks, and getting comfortable with 3 ticks, getting comfortable with, looks like you said earlier, a point. Once you get really good at getting, couple ticks, 3 ticks, a point, then it's all just a matter of scale. If you can do it on 1 contract, you should be able to do it on 2 contracts, and then you do the 3 contracts, and then you can do it 15 contracts, and et cetera.
So there's Lemmy there. He's asking, do you use the tradeometer? I don't believe you subscribe to it, but I was gonna give it to you for being such a good sport tonight and coming on the show and give us your idea what you think. What you think of it. Maybe help us improve it.
No, I'll be glad to take a look at them. I'm always interested in new tools, and some of them I find helpful. Someone was asking about the 7. Can I see the website on the? It's not a broadcast website. Is that okay, RPM?
Just how about just drop the link in the room? Can you do that?
Well, yeah. Hold on. Someone was looking for the 7 deadly sins. I don't have the spreadsheet, but you should be able to find it on Barry's website.
Okay.
This is Barry. He sells a set of indicators that several of the users here use. I personally was never able to make them a consistent success for them. However, I highly recommend new traders read through how he trades, how he plans and allocates capital. I think those are very valuable tools. I got much more help out of that than the indicators themselves. Mm-hmm. You may find differently. I'll let you guys make those choices, but I found that is another example, much like watching Johnny do his stuff, is watching other traders and hearing them articulate how they do things.
Yeah. There's ES in the room. Good to see you.
I trade all of them. Oh, that's pretty personable, but I you can ask. Well, never mind. I don't want to tell you, but from the first day I've been here, I pay myself like a salary. That was somewhat a sop to the wife for when I started doing this, because the rationale was either the account is going to go to 0 or I'm going to make it grow. So we had a fixed weekly draw off that account that I still do.
Kheldar, do you allow your account to continue to build and you leave that in there? Or do you take that aside and put it in savings or somewhere else? Because it is a danger, having it in there if you have a really crazy, something terrible happen and you wind up just doing the stupidest thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I have several accounts at IB. I have a very small amount at TOS. I have a fair amount at Merrill Lynch. Because and this is a trip, if you guys don't have to do business with Bank of America, I don't care if you like them or not, but if you keep over 25 grand at Merrill Lynch, you get 30 free trades a month and get to use their e-signal platform for charting.
Really?
So, yes.
Did not know that.
Plus, you can use it just like a checking or savings account, and you can run. That's where probably the bulk of my overall investment money is.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of stuff at Merrill and Bank of America, and a couple other places, but
they don't offer a futures platform, though, do they?
It's kind of funny. That platform could do futures because it's a Merrill's branded version of e-signal,
e-signal, yeah.
But they don't have it turned on.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very nice piece of charting software. I get 30 free trades a month and free dividend reinvestment. That's for the the long-term boring stuff.
Yeah.
I got to admit, the bulk of my portfolio past the future stuff is dollar cost average index funds. I can tell for all the people watching, 99.5% of traders will never be successful.
It's probably closer to 99%.
I said 99.5, didn't I?
Yeah, I think there we got a little bit better odds there. I think it's more like 99% won't be successful. There's a good 1% that figure it out, which is great.
Yeah.
That's the 1% take to 99%'s money. If it wasn't like that, everyone would be making a little bit of money at it, and it wouldn't be worth it for anyone.
Well, I don't know. I'm a firm believer in the day camp. I have some little simple things about when you're going into the Christmas holiday week. Generally, the quote unquote day won't let the market fall off. That's a good time to be bullish.
Yeah.
Little things.
Hey, good to see you. Keep it simple's in the chat room there. Good to see you. Keep it simple. Yeah, we're recording it, and I'll try to compile it and get it pushed up to the server. I want to say by Sunday afternoon. I gotta kind of try to get some sleep tonight and rest my voice for tomorrow. But probably Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon or something like that. I'll have it posted for everyone. It was a great show, by the way. It's probably one of the best, Kheldar, believe it or not. But believe it or not, you've probably been one of the best guests that I remember in a while. I know it's been 2 years since we've done a show, but I did 175 shows, Trader Spotlights. This would be probably the top 20. Maybe a top 10, man. This is great,
I hope
man.
It helps. I'm trying to, whether you guys use the rules or stuff that, a lot of stuff I think here is really good. I think you should know that you can lose your ass on this.
Yeah.
You can also, there are also opportunities to make a heck of a lot. I hope you take from this that it's not how many, the goal of this is to grow your account.
Or keep a consistent cash flow, positive cash flow where you can pay yourself and make a living. One or the other.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah, but essentially those are the same things. You want to make cash.
Yep.
I hope this helps you do that. I hope some of the things that take the emotion out can help. This community, John and RPM have put together a heck of a place where people can come on and converse. And yeah, sometimes we occasionally may get sideways with each other and all that. But we get better when we ask each other questions and help each other out. I post a lot of trades in the futures rooms. I see a lot of people that don't, and that's fine. But it would be helpful if more people talk about their trades or ask. If I go long with something, it would be interesting to see someone post. Why did you take that position?
Yeah,
so maybe I can and I will tell you one reason. A lot of times I post trades in there, and I don't post all of them. I find that if I can correctly articulate a trade enough, that if I am going to put it in the chat room, that works out to be a better trade for me because it means I've taken thought on it. I'm less,
right.
I take some pretty gutsy trades that I don't want in the chat room because I know there's some people I'm trading with a little bit more capital than they are. And they're not going to want to take the kind of hit I'm willing to take.
Everybody's pain tolerance is different. Everybody's situation is different. Certainly true. And that's difficult to post that in the chat room when you post a trade idea or post that you just took a trade. I think that's why the Trader Spotlight's important, because if enough of the traders that trade that particular vehicle, trade the futures, trade stocks, whatever, happen to listen to that show, they can learn more of the personality and the lifestyle and the trading style of that individual. So they have a better context surrounding that individual when they see them in the chat room the next day. I think that's one of the great things about the Trader Spotlight, So we know more about, what you're looking at. We know more about your pain tolerance. We know about more about your overall goal for the day. We'll know that when we see you posting trades and talking in the room the next day without you having to type 10 paragraphs explaining everything every time you place a trade. You know what I mean?
No, I hope they do. Yeah.
Because and I'll tell you what, it's difficult to post trades when you do them. I have a hard enough time telling you guys on the air, and all I got to do is use my voice, that I'm taking a trade. Yeah, I don't know how Johnny does it. Johnny doesn't tell his usually doesn't tell his trades over the air because non-members here. He'll post it in trade alert box, but he'll say, "Hey, I just took something here. Heads up, trade alert box, trade alert in the box." The coordination, everything involved with that. So I just want to say thanks to everyone who posts trades in the room. Thanks to you, Kheldar, because you post your trades in the room and why you're taking them and what your goals are on them, your targets and stuff. And now you've taken tonight to show there's knowledge, experience, and method to the madness behind it all. And you've explained, quite a bit of it to us tonight. We'd like to have you on again. And it sounds like you're comfortable enough where you might do that.
Yeah, I'd like to see some other people come on too.
Sure. Me too.
Prolong's got we've talked to Prolong enough, but we got to get Sonny to do one of these trader spotlights, and Trade for Pay gets on a long time, lots of times, but there are a few others on here that could probably do to come on and be traders. We got to hear from Bill Rock.
Bill Rock, I got my eye on a couple more too. We're going to try to do this once a month to start out with, and I'd like to eventually get it back to twice a week, and then every week, as long as people will tolerate it. I don't know why you wouldn't. If you want to become a good, better trader, get better at it, learn more. This is putting time in. You're putting time in to learn. I learned. So the reason why I do this show is because I learn from you guys, not the other way around. If I give back something on a show that helped you, great. But I learned it from someone else here. You know what I mean? It's about giving back. It's about sharing the knowledge, different, digesting different methods, and you got to figure out. It's a journey. You got to figure out what works for you, and what works for Kheldar ain't gonna work for me. I can tell you that right now. Now, some of what he says, absolutely, I'm jotting notes down and I'm going to use it. I'm going to think about these things that he's talking about. But his overall plan and the way he does things probably won't work for me. I've got things that, he might consider, but obviously probably hasn't been his way, and everyone is like that, and that's fine. And there's so many different ways to make it work, You got to figure out what works for you as an individual. That is so important for people to understand that.
Yeah, because I use a lot of the same things you guys do. Different, trend lines, ascending triangles, flag breakouts, that kind of stuff. I just use them in conjunction with. I try to have just an overall game plan of where the market is and where I want to do business when those things happen.
And that volume profile helps you do that so well.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't really listen to them every day, but FT is a good resource for learning some of that stuff. There are lots of resources out there for that. But focus on a lot of the statistical stuff. There's one I did the other day. There's this statistic, if there's an 80-20 rule, that if you close two 30-minute candles within the previous day's value area, there's an 80% chance you will transit that entire value area.
That is huge. That is huge.
Now, that's a pretty good statistic.
It absolutely is.
You have to do your right risk management. It doesn't always work. But I can tell you, if I had a 4 out of 5 chance of making money on that trade every time.
Yeah.
But in coal, it's not really that simple. There's lots of variables in that. But that if you Google 80-20 volume profile, you'll find all sorts of resources on that.
Yeah. And the reason why it comes true is because the machines are programmed to know it. The traders are programmed. It's a self-fulfilling thing, and it probably becomes even more realistic. That it is to happen over time.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a nice defined risk trade, but I didn't want to get into it because I had a lot of stuff that I didn't realize how quickly this time would go.
Yeah,
I know you're not feeling well, and you talked more than I thought you would have to.
I'm getting ready, for tomorrow, so it wasn't too bad. I'm hurting a little bit, but for those out there that just listen, you maybe listen to a recording because we are recording this. I'm dealing with Bell's palsy, or the left side of my face is paralyzed. Haven't been able to move it, but I don't really care if my face doesn't move, or I chew on my lip when I eat, or my eye never blinks again. The pain is what's been really getting to me. So I'm finally overcoming some of that now after about 3.5 weeks of dealing with torturous pain and getting back to things. And so I appreciate everyone's support out there too, asking about it and stuff. And we'll just roll with the punches, deal with it.
Just let us all know if you need to, have us send you some morphine or, something else.
Well, the Oxycontins have been great, and I appreciate you guys sending those to me. I just can't bring myself to take them because they're worth like $100 a piece, So I'm saving up.
Yeah,
totally kidding. Totally kidding.
I still have some of that from when I broke my back. So
that's some powerful stuff, man. No, I want to be able to feel the pain if it's hurting and trying to deal with things, reasonably and stuff. But enough about me. I appreciate it, though, Kheldar, man. Great, absolutely great show, man. And I knew.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm gonna let you go, guys. My wife is bugging me.
You're still married?
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? One of these days, I'll get out to your side of the country. I still want to visit the bunker.
Yeah. Oh, call first, please.
Well, I would make arrangements for that. You're a 5-hour drive from me.
Oh, how do you know that?
What?
How do you know how far?
How do I know that? Because we've had this discussion before. I grew up near you.
Oh, that's right. Dang it.
Okay, guys. RPM has taken too many of his meds. We know where you live. You know where I live. We played in the same grounds about the same time.
Yeah, we almost went to the same high school. In fact, we may have went to the same high school football game.
No, you went to high school in Suffolk, didn't you?
Yeah, John Yates.
I went to Portsmouth Catholic.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know. I went to the public school. We can afford the high end stuff.
You've seen Portsmouth public schools. They weren't that great back when I was in school either.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't wish. I'd feel. Matter of fact, I'd write a check to anyone that I knew that went to one of those right now, man. I feel because if you're not in jail or dead, I mean, they truly were a great statistic to get out of there. They're 1 out of 100. I mean that school system back when we were kids, man. That was tough. P-Town. God help you, man. Look what you've done with yourself, man. Amazing.
It's kind of amazing when I look back at my life. I was always amazed I lived past 30. And since 30, I've been to 5 continents. I've been all over the planet. I've gotten married. I mean, it's just been a blessed life. So
congratulations, man. Hey, you know what? You have the ultimate freedom too. I mean, you're tied to the market, but you know what I mean. You're working for yourself, self-employed.
This
great,
looking in front of the computer every day RPM is just as bad as popping the Oxycontin pill.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? You really shouldn't. We should not complain. You know what caused all this Bell's palsy for me? When they made me go on that little miniature 1-week vacation down to the beach. The stress and everything leading up, I'm not kidding you. The stress and everything leading up, trying to get everything ready and just worrying about stuff, which I had everything figured out and straight. I was only going to take a couple of 17-inch laptops, but the stress and everything of making me go on vacation, caused me to wind up with this issue. I'm telling you, it's what happened. I mean, it came down with it on day 2 after I got there, and then the whole time of the vacation I was dealing with it. I got back and started feeling a little better. It don't take me out. You can't, I'm addicted to this. You can't take this away from me. You can't do that. I got to have at least 10 years notice, So many of us are, man. We're doomed. You and Johnny, he had a great time on his cruise. But he said he was miserable after a couple of days because he was jonesing because he didn't have the market in front of him.
Yeah, you know you're an addict when you come into a 3-day weekend and you don't like it because the market's not open. So
I actually don't have a problem with 3-day weeks, 3-day weekends. It's just the weekends are great. I love those. 1 day off, that's fine, but a week? I mean, come on. That's crazy. Anyway, let me let you go. Appreciate it again, man.
right.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Take care, guys.
See you in the morning.
All right.
Bye. All right, that's Kheldar, everyone. Big round of applause for Kheldar. Great job, man. Appreciate it, Kheldar. We'll let you know his real name. So there's a fee for that. And thanks to everyone turning out tonight. If you're just listening to us, you wonder who this goofy idiot is on the air. Well, he's not on in the air anymore. He just hung up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm RPM, of course. DayTradingRadio.com. Thanks for listening, everyone. And thanks for being in the chat room. If you're not, what chat room? What chat? DayTradingRadio.com. Become a member. Lots of great people here. Still lots of great. We're in our 8th year. 7 years, about 7.5 years of it with me. Can you believe it? It is amazing life to hang out with you guys. Friends, family, all of you. I keep you all in that same place in my heart. And it's amazing experience. And I wouldn't trade for anything. And I appreciate you guys being here and gals, all the gals that are showing up as traders recently. And we'll do another Trader Spotlight right here at DayTradingRadio.com. Hopefully we'll get another one done. We'll do one in August for you, and then maybe a little bit more frequent. If you'd like to do a show, let us know. Let me know. We'll get one together. I'll be nice to you. Do whatever you want to do. Make you comfortable. And as always, take care, everybody. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Friday morning for a great show, hopefully. Take care. Good luck if you trade tonight. Be safe. RPM out.